I was going to do a different, probably much better performing video today, but then I was like, yo, it's been a while. Let's do a buy or not buy. But first, your likes. Please give, maybe subscribe. All right, let's not waste any more of your time with this one. Energon Universe Galvatron. Oh, what's that? The thing that it was always obviously supposed to be? I won't really say that this makes this thing better, but it does make it make sense now. The original version is colored like either it's supposed to be the good guy version, which yes, they did repaint this into the good guy version for Shattered Glass, or it's decoed like he's supposed to be a toothpaste mascot. But ultimately, this thing is a not buy. If the cannons were actually bolted on like they're supposed to be, it might be not annoying enough for me to give this thing a soft pass, but as it is, owning one was already too many for my taste, and I don't need a second one, so I never bothered with this. It's not one of Hasbro's sins, but I don't foresee a lot of people grabbing this and going, boy, I'm sure happy with the hole I just threw my money into. Man, if only I was more timely with these videos, I might actually be able to save people some cash. I should probably start doing these as soon as I have every figure from a wave. Then, next up for the cores is Geocron, a repaint of Boulder Crash, who I swear to this day, I'm pretty sure Hasbro switched the name with Magnus by accident in some sort of alternate reality Bob Budiansky event. Has anyone ever asked if Bob Budiansky had seen color pictures of Rumble and Frenzy before he named them that? Because he was mostly working on black and white photos at the time. That's the only explanation I can think of as to why you wouldn't name the red one Frenzy and then have someone have to come in behind you and correct that grievous mistake. Anyways, Geocron is a repaint of Boulder Crash who was only barely tolerable to begin with before he was painted like he fell out of someone's ass. I don't know if you can find a shade of brown that looks more like poo-poo, but I'm pretty sure that you need a team of scientists and powerful equipment to do it. But yeah, this is Boulder Crash, a figure that didn't pose well, doesn't look like much of anything because it's just made out of rocks, so it's up to you if you find that charming or not. It transforms like shit because they made it a mandatory parts former even though they made the rest of it ultra simple, and then the alt mode, especially in the color scheme, looks like a turd. For being the Boulder Crash for 2 Girls 1 Cup fans, this is a not buy, and I assume that you all know what that is, but if you don't look that up, unless you like the idea of watching people eat literal actual shit. Feel free to look into the history of that meme, but don't click on any videos. Then finally, we make it to the deluxes. Man, I didn't realize the places this video would go when I sat down to write it. Cybertron Hotshot. Oh, that was from this wave. I could have sworn that was from Age of the Primes, or like, literal hell. I'd wipe my ass with this thing if I didn't think it would leave me dirtier than ever. This does the alt mode okay, and that's about it. If you are into gaudy 2000s cars that look like Y2K threw up all over it with a Frutiger Aero art style, then I'm sure that you will love this thing. In alt mode and in no other way. Because this thing is a desperate do not buy. The robot mode looks like you kidnapped someone who was starving for months in a war zone and offered them a sandwich if they put on your $20 cosplay. The posability is like a kid with rickets trying to dance. They can still move, but everything hurts and they'd like you to stop with the music, please. And the transformation is just kind of sad. They want to resell this thing in a red paint shop now, and a disgusted no is all I can muster for it. Nucleus. Magnus if he was piloted by Tommy Oliver. I didn't buy because I was quite happy with just the one version of this mold, and my collection is already suffering under its own weight at this point. But this is the first figure here that I don't think is outright terrible. Magnus was fine. It's part of the first Iser set in a while to not have a combined mode, and not even really have a combiner fan mode because they didn't bother making this parts former parts form enough. But if you are into a Flintstones car by way of the Power Rangers, this does work well. This figure is doing the other aspects of being a Transformer fine, but it lives or dies more than almost anything else on whether or not you think the aesthetic is cool. Do you want a Super Sentai robot made out of rocks? If no, you are probably most people. But I will say that if you decide to take the plunge, then this is a fair buy. It's fun, if not spectacular. The titty gap does still irritate me though. Sideburn. I'm realizing, only now, that this wave is in trouble. There are so many things that I skipped because they are retools of things that already sucked. Originally, I was thinking that maybe I'd put the extra effort into this episode and get video of everything, since there's not that many. And the simple fact of the matter is, I can't because I skipped most of this trash. And the Shadow Striker this was based on was already one of the worst figures of the year it came out. A figure that moved so lively it was like it had rigor mortis, and looked so much like the character it was supposed to be, it was like I was watching the respectful depiction of Deadpool and X-Men Origins Wolverine all over again. Hi, Tom! And they somehow found a way to make the shield even more annoying than the original RID 2001 version of the mold during transformation, which, like, we need to figure out some kind of award for that. Award for excellence in achieving the impossible of suck. All to make it a pre-tool, because back in the long ago, a BotCon exclusive figure was based on Sideburn, and that thing was named Shadow Striker. So obviously, even though these two designs are completely incompatible, we need to do it for the reference. That's right, this is the Family Guy cutaway gag of figures. And then they finally released this thing, and it turns out it was never worth it in the first place. How did you guys fuck up every single aspect of this thing? Like, I mean, everything. You didn't even get the color right on this guy. He's supposed to be a deep and rich blue. Why does he look like he's covered in cake frosting? And so much for the young rebellious dude. That face looks like a Muppet son of Squidward, here to teach you how to respect your 9-to-5 job as part of the corporate food prep system. But perhaps the worst sin of all is his alt mode, which has gone from being one of the coolest cars in history, the Viper, to an overweight sedan the owner really wanted to look cool but couldn't afford better, so they slathered it in stickers and glued a fake engine to the hood. This is painfully do not buy. And from one sin we go to another. I have shit all over strong-arm time and time again, and quite frankly, there aren't a lot of reasons why I hate this character so much. It really is just that she's a massive, horrible, abusive hypocrite that the writers didn't realize what they'd done with. They thought they gave her a quirky character trait, where she'll bend the rules for herself but tweak them the opposite direction for anybody else. And they didn't realize that would make her nightmarishly insufferable, since she clearly thinks that the rules exist only to benefit her. And she takes way too much joy in depriving others by brutalizing them with the rules. Now, all that was enough to make me not buy this toy, just because I'd rather shoot the bitch in the face rather than own a figure of her. However, I will say that I also think that this thing's a soft don't buy anyways. Elita already wasn't great, and while this thing is that, but less terrifying looking, like a porcelain doll come to skin your foot in the night. It's also that, but just uglier and more awkward. Transformation wasn't great. Posability was about as bog standard as you can get. I guess the alt mode is fine, but you ain't missing out on much if you skip this. I know I did. Then on to the Voyagers, or Voyager, and holy shit, Wave 3 was a fucking crime against the fandom. Vector Prime. I wanted to like this. A lot. I thought that this looked a lot better than people were giving it credit for, and then I got it, and it has the single worst QC I've ever seen from Hasbro. Legitimately, the face falls to pieces, the limbs have no hold, it can barely stand, and the wings are so completely unthought out as to make me wonder if they tried to use early AI to generate them. And then I heard from a lot of my fans that theirs are about exactly as bad as mine. And yeah, there is just no way in good conscience that I can call this a buy. I've been told by some people that their copy is fine, and they're doing a re-release which may fix the issues, but legitimately, I don't know that even still, if this comes in an Age of the Primes box, that I can trust it. Surely this shelf-warmed to shit, and Hasbro will just want to get rid of the stock they have left over, so they'll pack some of that old trash into the new boxes and try and trick us into buying this time, now that there is a theme that people actually care about with Age of the Primes. I don't trust it, and I fully advise you to not buy. Maybe you get an okay one, but when there's like a 50-50 at best that yours falls apart in your hands, why risk it when you can get literally anything else? Then there are the leaders, and finally, something that is an actual buy. I mean, once again, I didn't, because I've always thought the Armada Galvatron colors are hideous, but the Legacy Armada Megatron was still a pretty great figure. Some people lament the loss of so many of the gimmicks, but I think that this kept more than enough of them. It looks good, it feels good, the transformation is decently fun, and the alt mode is basically perfect. I feel slightly less warm and fuzzy about it now that it looks like the dying mascot for a grape soda brand, but even under those ugly desaturated colors, the great figure I really enjoy is still there. It just looks like the final gasps of the 70s. Lastly, Leader Soundwave. This is a Voyager, and not a good one either. This thing was all the rage back when it was released because everyone was starved for a tape deck Soundwave, but the sheen has really worn off by now, and even in this community that really loves this character and hates being negative, you don't really see people have much nice to say about it anymore. It's not horrible, it's not even really bad per se, it's just not much fun either. It's obviously compromised in a multitude of ways, with the baggy forearms and all that, the alt mode is super gappy, and when the Siege version of this dude was significantly more fun to transform, you know you have royally fucked up. You have fucked up now. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fuck. And then they even had the balls to charge leader price for it because it came with 2 more cassettes than last time. It's not loathsome, but it's definitely not a buy either. And I did not realize that for the first time, this was going to be a wholly negative buy or not buy. Usually it's actually kind of close. And if there is an absolute ass-kicking one way, it'd be in the buy's favor. But like, what does this have? Nucleus and Armada Galvatron? That's it. That's all that's okay to get. And I'd argue that with Armada Galvatron, there's still a clearly better version of that figure. I mean, I suppose if there was a wave that had to suck like a gut wound, it's best that it's the wave comprised literally entirely of repaints and retools, except for Hotshot, but the less said about him, the better. Seriously, how was there only one new mold in this entire wave, and it was one of the worst ones? Just how badly did they run out of money? I suppose we'll have to see next time if they cobbled Wave 4 together out of rain-soaked cardboard and the broken dreams of Depression-era vagrants. And before we go, let's thank a channel backer. And this time it's Evolve with Kingdom Dinobot. You know raptors evolved into chickens? There are so many paleo nerds who are about to dive into my comments and correct me on that, I'm sure, but I had to do it. And I don't love this figure as much as I wish I did, but I still do get it, because Dinobot rules, and therefore his figures rule, even when they have torsos that look like they just ate an airhead. But this does all the Dinobot stuff you want it to, having a sword and a shield, posing pretty well, it's clean from the back, and it's got a great head sculpt. Plus, the alt mode for sure is one of the best Kingdom-era beast modes for actually capturing what the character is supposed to look like. It's a great pick for favorite, though it might have changed since you told me about this, since I've seen that you now have the Masterpiece version. This one will always have the skinnier neck at least. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.